Kelvin said, what about in Saudi Arabia where women are not allowed to drive? That's a particular situation. I'm going to express it from a point of Saudi Arabia, not from a point of Islam. Okay? Just from Saudi Arabia point of view. The Mufti, meaning the head of the Supreme Court in Saudi Arabia, looked at a special problem. And the problem had to do with whether women, whether there was an ultimate benefit for them to drive or whether there was an ultimate liability for them to drive. This is how it was examined. Not whether they should drive or they could drive, whether they have a right to drive or have whatever. It was looked at from this perspective. And they determined that this country is huge in many cases. From one city to another is desert. Desert. Dark places. And sometimes a woman by herself driving would get a flat tire. Something would happen to the car with dysfunction or whatever. And she's out in the middle of nowhere with nobody to do what? A stranger comes along. Now when that stranger comes along, it could be any kind of stranger. And now what happens, she is subject to being accosted, being raped, some harm. And if nothing happens, he changes her tire, he fixes. But some people roll by and see that man in her car or bending over or whatever, and they get back to her family and her town or her village. And because of their customs, it is said, we saw your mother, we saw your sister, we saw your wife on the road with a strange man. That woman's reputation may be damaged irreparably. Now, it is part of their custom that a woman's reputation means more than anything else. And so that Grand Mufti said that what we want to do is, if a woman wants to drive, she can get a license, but we want her husband or her brother or her family members to chauffeur her wherever she needs to go so that she would not be subject to this kind of situation. And that is the real issue. Now, not living there, a person wouldn't know. You would think that, well, they can't drive. That's not the case. We look more to the reputation than we do just simply allowing the woman to drive, and then what happens? They endanger themselves. And now we can see here in the UK, I mean, we can see here in the Western world, for instance, how many rapes do you think take place a week? Not inside the home, but out when a woman is traveling from one point to another. How many rapes do you think take place? I'm a sociologist. If you don't know, I can give you the statistics. The statistics are, in the Western world, that there are 496 rapes that take place every week of women who are by themselves and they are accosted or they are raped or taken advantage of simply because they're by themselves. Now, I'm not suggesting that a law be enacted in the Western world like in Saudi Arabia. I'm saying that we need to look at that issue. Maybe we men in the Western world, we need to chauffeur our women. Well, that's another question, Calvin. I won't give you